Hi, 5K. Welcome to Tuesday's Bible lesson. Let's begin with prayer, and then I'll tell you our plan for today. Our now before prayer, ready? Now before I run to play, let me not forget to pray to God who kept me through the night and woke me with the morning light. Amen. All right, 5K. So we're going to first review what we learned about yesterday with the Red Sea. And then today, our new story is going to be what happened to the Israelites as they were on their way to their new home, the Promised Land. Because they had a long journey to go, they had a long way to travel. So we'll talk about what happened during that time. And then at the end, you'll get to color two coloring pages and make your very own story puzzle. So it'll be fun. So first, to quickly talk about the Red Sea yesterday, I'm going to read from you just 2 pages from our Rhyme Bible, just to talk about the Red Sea one more time. So listen as the Rhyme Bible tells the story. Ready? Pharaoh wasn't happy with all that God had planned. At last, he told the Israelites that they could leave his land. But just as they were leaving, Pharaoh changed his mind. He chased them with his soldiers, which wasn't very kind. God said, "Listen, you can trust in me." So he blazed a path through the waters of the sea. When the soldiers tried to follow, they fell into the sea. Then all the people shouted, "God has set us free!" So remember, God did that amazing miracle to protect the Israelites from the army who was chasing after them. And they were finally free from the Egyptians and could go home and be their own people. Awesome. So, boys and girls, when I first want to ask you before we begin our story today, when you sit down for a meal to eat some food, where does that food come from? What are some places that they might come from? Yeah, sometimes it comes from the store. Maybe you said your parents, "Oh, my parents cooked it for me." It's so true. Or maybe you were at a restaurant. It came from a restaurant or a fast food restaurant. No, the thing is, no matter where our food comes from, no matter who cooked it or who bought it, do you know who it ultimately comes from? Who actually gave it to us? Even not just our parents. Yeah, God gives us all our food. Our parents do, and our grandparents, and whoever's in charge of us. But God also gives us that food. He always is providing for us through our grown-ups to give us food. It's kind of an awesome thought that no matter what we're eating, whether it's our favorite food or our least favorite food, it's such an undeserved blessing that God provides, gives us food every day through our parents and through our grown-ups. So it's a blessing. And we're going to learn about how today God provided and gave food to the Israelites. Well, because the Israelites had a long way to go. Once they had crossed the Red Sea, they had a while to travel till they got to the land that God had promised them. And it was not really an easy trip. They had to travel through a desert, a really hot and dry desert of places, right? So they did not have much water. It was really hot. It was a rough trip. But God was there for them through all of it. And God did something really cool and special to provide food for the Israelites. That's what we'll learn today. So the Israelites began traveling, and pretty soon they were running low on food that they had packed. It was in the desert, it was hot, there was not much to eat. And they started complaining. They started grumbling and not being happy with God and Moses. They said, here's a picture of some Israelites. This is one of the pieces that you'll get to color today. Look at their faces. They're not happy, are they? They're grumbling and complaining to Moses and God. Do you know what they said? They actually said to Moses, "You should have just left us in Egypt, so at least we would have had food there." Can you believe they said that? They were taking God's blessing and throwing it in God's face, saying, "Oh, why did you deliver us from Egypt? We should have just stayed there because now we're hungry." They were not trusting in God to provide for them. And so God said to Moses, no, I am going to provide for the Israelites and provide for the people. Provide means to care for, right? To take care of. And God said, I'm going to do a special thing for the Israelites. Another miracle that God did to provide for them. He did 2 special miracles to provide food for the Israelites. Here's the first one. God said to Moses, in the mornings, I am going to make it rain down bread, or make it bread come down from heaven, and it's going to be like rain. You know how rain covers the ground after a storm? That's how it was for the Israelites with bread. There was a special kind of bread all over the ground. Look at this picture. You can see it almost looks like snow, right? These white, flaky things all over the ground. That was the special kind of bread that God was going to give the Israelites every day so that they could eat in the desert. And God also said, I'm not just going to give them bread every day. In the evenings, I am also going to give them meat, some meat to eat. And the special kind of meat that God was going to give them, it was called quail. Quail are a very small kind of bird. Here's another piece of your coloring page today. They're a small kind of bird that they could kill and they could eat. There was going to be flocks of them coming in every evening that the Israelites could kill and eat. So he was giving them bread and meat every day. That's how he was going to provide for them in the desert. And so that's exactly what happened. But God also had a special direction for the bread. See, God was going to do this every day. He was going to make it rain down bread from heaven every day. And so he did not want the Israelites to stock up and take as much as they could every day. He wanted them to trust him that he would continue to do this every day. So he said to the Israelites, don't take more than you need for just one day, because you'll get new bread every day. Just take enough for one day. And God carried through those promises. He made it every night, those little birds, quail would come, and the Israelites could eat quail. And every morning, the ground was covered with bread, this special kind of bread. And the first day that this bread came down from heaven, the Israelites came outside and they were amazed. They were confused too. They said, what is this? What is this happening? And this special kind of bread that God provided for them in the desert, it became known as manna. Manna. And the reason it was called manna is because the word manna was the Israelite word for saying, what is this? What is it? Because they came outside and they weren't sure what was on the ground. So they said, manna, what is it? So it became known as manna. So God provided manna and quail for the Israelites in the desert. But here's the sad part. When the Israelites came out every day, they started to not trust in God that he would do this every day for them. They would stock up way more than they would need. And they weren't supposed to do that, right? God told them, no, don't take more than you need for one day. Just take enough for one day and I'll give you more the next day. But they took way more than they needed. And here's what happened to the bread that they kept. The next morning, if they saved too much of it, it spoiled. If you don't know what spoiled means it goes bad. You can't eat it anymore because it's gross and it goes bad. It even went so bad that there were bugs and worms in it. That's how bad it went. And God did that because he wanted the Israelites to trust in him. And this is a picture of the Israelites picking up look at this little girl. She has some of the bread in her hand. And they were putting it in these baskets. Every day God did this for them. How cool. And there was one exception to the rule. An exception means one time that they could not follow the rule of taking just enough for one day. When it was the 6th day of the week, they were allowed to take enough bread for 2 days because on the 7th day of the week, that was their day. That was the Sabbath day, their day to worship. It was their day to the way that we go to church. It was their time to worship too. Look, this is the days of the week for your math meeting. Look, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. On the 6th day of the week, because the 7th day of the week was usually their day to worship. So on this day, they were allowed to take more food so that they didn't have to work on that last day. In their times, it was their way to worship, to not do any work and just worship God all day, not do any work. So that was their one day that they could take more food. And when the Sabbath day came, the food wasn't spoiled. They could eat it the next day. So that was God's amazing way of providing for the Israelites in the desert. And the last part of the puzzle that you are going to color today is this picture of these barrels of food. Look, the manna is in there. How they could save it for the next day on the 6th day of the week, so that on the 7th day, the Sabbath, they could have food. So I hope you enjoyed hearing that awesome way that God provided for the Israelites in the desert. And even though that God doesn't make big flocks of quail come in every day and doesn't make it rain down bread from heaven every day, he still provides for us every day, right? We get food to eat. And even though it's our parents or our grandparents giving that food to us, it's also God too, right? Ultimately from God, because God provides our parents to provide for us. So that's pretty cool. So you can find in your packet 2 pages. You have 2 pages to color for today. The first page looks like this. You'll see the Israelites. See number 1. This is the first part of the story puzzle. This is a picture of the Israelites grumbling and complaining. This is Mrs. Barsh's piece that she colored, all finished. They were grumbling and complaining. So color this first, and then I'll tell you how to cut it out after. So you'll have to color the Israelites grumbling and complaining. And then this is the number 2, the picture of the quail that God sent in every day. This is the second piece of the puzzle. Then, once you have that colored, you'll have to flip to your next page. You have 2 pages. This page and right after this page. Number 3, it says, this is the third piece of the puzzle. Look, this is the piece with all the manna on the ground, the bread that God made rain down from heaven so they could eat it every day. So you have to color this picture with the manna on the ground. And finally, the 4th piece of the puzzle, you can color these barrels where they could finally, on the 6th day of the week, stock up bread for the Sabbath day so they didn't have to work. So you have to color those 2 pages, and then this will be really good cutting practice. So just try your best to cut out along the black lines of these 2 pictures. Cut out the Israelites along that black line. See how it has kind of some curvy parts in the middle? How puzzles have sometimes curvy parts so they fit together. Cut out this piece, the quail piece, and then the 2 pieces on the second page too. Cut out the manna picture and the picture with the pots of the manna. And then once you have them all cut out and colored, then you could have your very own story puzzle. Look, the first piece of the Israelites grumbling and complaining, and it fits together with the next piece, the quail. See how it fits together? It's like a puzzle. And then this fits together with the manna picture. See how it fits together? These pieces, they're made to go together. And then the manna fits together with the 4th piece, the jars of manna that they could save. And that is what I would like you to upload a picture of. Once you have your 4 pieces of your puzzle cut out and colored, we would love to see what good coloring and cutting you did. This will be great cutting practice, so don't give up. You can do it. Thanks for listening today, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this awesome story of God providing in the desert just like He provides for us. Tomorrow we'll talk about another special day during the Israelites' long journey. Bye.